So I'm going to hit create new, so it's going to make a new document for us. And I'm going to stick with print dimensions, and I'm going to select an 8.5 by 11. I'm going to stay in facing pages. I'm going to start my document on page 2, which means that the first page is going to be by itself or with another page stuck with it. If I start on page 2, is it going to be one page by itself or 2 pages stuck together along a spread? You guys remember? Well, we'll find out right now. And I'm going to make it 6 pages. Look, facing pages is activated. I'm going to construct it with 2 columns, and my gutter, I'm going to set it up to 1/4 inch. I'm going to leave my margins at 1/2 inch, and I'm going to activate bleed, which is 1/8 inch, 0.125, and I'm going to go ahead and hit create. The 2 columns per page, and a gutter at 1/4 inch, just to make it really obvious. It's kind of big, but it's fine for our conversation. So since I started on page 2, you'll notice that my document, the first page, is set up in a spread. If I started on page 1, the first page would act as a cover isolated from the back. They're broken apart. So when I start on page 2, you'll see that it forces the first page to be part of a spread, right? And since I selected 6 pages, I have 3 spreads, okay? So I'm going to zoom in to page 2 and 3. Now, I want to ask you, what page am I working on? Can anybody tell me? What page am I on? What's that? 4. Some of you are saying 4. How many think on page 2? So when you first start a document, it can be confusing what page you're on. You'll notice that the page number's highlighted for page 2 and 3, but the actual page for 4 is highlighted. That's a little weird. What's going on? So I find that every once in a while when I'm working in InDesign and there isn't a visual reference, there's nothing on the page, I can get lost. So the best place to look to see where you're at in your document is actually in the bottom left corner. So what does the bottom left corner tell us? I'm on page 2. You'll notice that this is a little drop-down menu or a pop-up menu, and this allows me to jump to whatever page I want to go to as well. So I could say I want to go to page 4, and so now I'm on page 4. So you can jump to your pages in one of 2 ways. You can click over here, double click on it, and then look in the bottom left corner to make sure that you're in the correct page. Or you could use this pop-up in the bottom left corner to jump to the page that you want to activate. So obviously this is redundancy. This is a feature that allows you to move and activate the same feature through different ways. Okay, so my conversation is really to place an image. And I want to remind you all that I set up my document with columns and gutters. So every page, based on my settings, should have 2 columns and I should have a gutter. So on the spread, I have 4 columns and 3 gutters. A gutter here, a gutter here, and a gutter here. Okay, so there's 3 gutters in this document. Now, I'm going to place the image. So there's multiple ways that we can place images in InDesign. The first way is to just go to the File menu and go to the Place feature. You'll notice that there's a hotkey for place. What is the hotkey? Command D. So I like to use the hotkey. I have the habit of doing that, so I might hit Command D in a little bit. But for now, you'll notice I'm just going to go to Place, and I'm going to select a JPEG. Actually, I'm going to select something on my desktop. Let me see here. JPEG off my desktop. I have no idea. There's this image here of some paper. So you'll notice that when I select the image, it gives me a little preview of what it looks like. Okay, so then wherever I click, it's going to start the bounding box for the image, the upper left corner of it. So if I click here, that's where the upper left corner of the image is going to be drawn. When I click on it, that's what it looks like. Okay, so this image is bigger than my document. Let me zoom out so you can see it. This image is bigger than my document. And you'll notice that it describes a bounding box. Describes a bounding box. Okay, so let me select, I'm going to get something a little bit smaller. Give me 1 second. Let me find something better.